Hello viewers, welcome to our program on immigration and you. I am your immigration attorney Michael Fulwani, and once again we have with us attorney David Nachman. David,
Thanks,
welcome.
Michael. Always a pleasure to join you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Now today's program we're going to start with the cutoff dates for the month of August 2012. The family first preference, which are for the unmarried sons and daughters over the age of 21 of US citizens, advances by 3 weeks for all the countries to August 1, 2005. For the family 2A category, which is for the spouses and children under the age of 21 of green card holders, for all the countries advances by 4 weeks to March 15, 2010. The family 2B category, which is for the unmarried sons and daughters over the age of 21 of green card holders, good news, advances by 7 weeks to June 22nd, 2004. The family third preference, which is for the married sons and daughters of US citizens, advances by 2 weeks for all the countries to May 1, 2002. And for the family fourth preference, which is for the brothers and sisters of US citizens, advances again for all the countries to 3 weeks to February 1, 2001. So with that, let's go back to the family employment categories, right? David, so far the family preference categories, I think this is one category, the family 2A, which is very important, and people have been a little frustrated. Advances by 4 weeks is not bad. But the 2B category, which always advances by a week or 2 weeks, this month 7 weeks advancements, which is a very good news, and hopefully that will advance a little better in the coming months. Now the employment preference category, the first preference, which is for the priority workers, is current for all the countries. The employment second preference, the advanced degree holders for all other countries other than India, they are January 1st, 2009. There is no advance movement here. Unfortunately for India, the employment second preference remains unavailable for all the
For India and China.
India, no, China, I don't talk. This is what she did. They give the full bulletin that I don't use. Okay.
Are we in a cut?
Okay, right here, huh?
Keep going.
Huh?
Keep going.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, keep going.
Yep. Again, I'm going a little bit back, okay?
Right.
I'm going a little bit back.
Okay.
For the employment second preference, the advanced degree holders for most of the countries except India remains the same, June 1st, 2009. And for India, unfortunately, is still unavailable, and it is likely to remain available until, I would say, September of 2012. The employment third preference, which is for the professionals and skilled workers for all other countries, most of the countries I would say, except India, China, and maybe Philippines, Mexico, advances by 6 weeks to September 8, 2006. For India, it advances only 1 week to October 1, 2002. The other workers category, which is a part of same employment third preference, also advances by 6 weeks to September 8, 2006 for most of the countries, and for India, it just advances again for 1 week only to October 1st, 2002. So basically, the regular employment third preference and other preference categories are the same dates, both for the world as well as for India. The employment fourth preference, which is the special immigrants, mostly it is for the religious workers, priests and all that, remains current for all the countries. And the employment fifth preference, which are the investors for $500,000 or $1 million, is current for all the countries. Now a couple of questions, and then David is going to tell you maybe some possible good news. See, there is a likelihood that a pending legislation in the Congress which may remove the per country limits That's the problem. Basically, the problem why India is much more backlogged than the other countries is the per country limits. And David will explain you what the per country limits are. And if this bill passes, they remove that per country limits, what's going to happen? David?
Well, Michael, as you rightfully point out, the State Department, when they release the bulletin, what they have, these are called quotas. And the quotas are broken out by various countries. And the countries with quotas or limitations are Mexico, China, India, and the Philippines. And these countries have these caps, what we as immigration lawyers refer to as artificial caps. And what they're talking about now in Congress is the possibility of releasing enough visas so that there are not backlogs in these various classifications. And this is part of a new bill. The problem is it's not really clear where they're going to get those numbers from. So there's discussion about the possibility of doing away with the diversity visa lottery. Diversity visa lottery is a special program that's run by the Department of State on a fiscal year basis where 65,000 visas are made available to individuals from throughout the world. Now, obviously, our loyal viewers, of course, from India are probably not too concerned about that because they can't take advantage of the diversity lottery anyway because we have enough individuals from India here in the United States. However, we do have many viewers from other countries such as Trinidad, Tobago, and some of the other countries, other subcontinents. So they may be concerned about the possibility of doing away with the diversity visa lottery.
David, let us look at this. India, employment third preference, the cutoff date is October 1, 2002. So those people who have a cutoff date of maybe 2009, 10, 11, they maybe have to wait for about 14, 15 years because this category has been moving very, very slowly.
That's right.
Maybe sometime 1 week a month or maybe 2 weeks a month. Same thing about the second preference category. No, so basically 15 years is too much. I mean, basically that's a frustrating thing. So employment second preference. Second preference for India is unavailable. And when it opens up in October, I think probably
it's going to be
2007 or 6.
They're talking about backlogs significantly, correct.
So again, it is moving very, very slowly.
Right.
So people who are very happy they are in second preference rather than third is still.
Right.
You are talking about many, many years to wait. So it is very, very important for them to remove this per country limit so that these numbers can advance more, you know.
It is, Michael, but also we have to keep in mind that these per country limitations were established by law back many years ago and implemented, and obviously for them to now do away with it would be it's really tremendous. The ripple effects are tremendous, although the politics could be very good, especially since
let's talk about fairness, okay?
Yeah.
We have a country called Togo in Africa. I don't know how small it is, maybe a few thousand people or whatever it is. And you have a country like India, 1 billion people. How could you apply the same formula? It's not logical, it's not reasonable, right?
That's right. Well, so that's the argument.
That's the argument.
Yeah, exactly.
And basically, let me just give a little bit information on that. The bill was introduced in the House.
Not on Togo, right?
Not on Togo.
Oh, okay.
on removing the per country limits. Okay. The HR 3012 was Senator Grassley, and that bill again went through certain amendments. Right. Finally, the House passed the bill. And we say, okay, fine, House has passed, now Senate is going to pass, this will become a law. Unfortunately, when this bill went in the Senate,
well, there
was a filibuster.
Right.
And even if there was a majority of the senators supported, but you know that we need 60 votes to really overcome any veto or any filibuster. We didn't have the 60 votes in the Senate. So it was killed. Now, the good news is, why are we talking about this today in this program? The good news is that Senator Grassley, in December 15th in 2011, has reintroduced the bill again in the Congress.
Right.
So we were hoping that, if possible, it may happen in this session of the Congress, maybe. But the way we are looking at the politics, the way we are looking at how both political parties are at a complete standstill. They don't want to talk about passing any bill at all.
Well, they don't want to touch the immigration issue because
especially
the immigration issue in a election year is very difficult, because what happens is one side that is looking to liberalize the immigration law, the other side says, but you shouldn't be doing that because you're taking away jobs from U.S. workers and you're facing serious issues in national security. So those are the two sides of the argument.
See, but once I think elections are over,
Well, that's another story.
yeah,
That's exactly
I
right.
think it will
Yeah.
change, because it's pure politics now. They've come to a complete standstill because of the vote. And as you know, we can go back to the history. We don't have that much time, but basically, all these years they have been able to sit down together to work out a compromise, on some giving and some taking. That's how all the bills have passed.
Right.
We need both support from both Republicans and Democrats.
You sound like
Actually.
President Obama.
Yeah. Well, so
I think that's exactly what he said.
exactly. So basically,
No, both sides have to get together, otherwise there'll never be a compromise. There's no question.
and I think I know that some, quite a few senators and congressmen, also even Republicans, they know it is a fair game. But today's political scenario is not a question of fair or not fair. It's a question of, if you want A, we don't want A, we want B. That
Right.
is the problem that is happening
right.
in today's
Well,
scenario.
politics tends to be somewhat adversarial, so that's a typical adversarial position. Michael, as you were going through the numbers, and I think you're all set with having read the numbers to our viewers, I was thinking to myself, it's really tremendous that we give the numbers and give our perspective each week when we appear here on ITV. But the other thing I'm thinking is that our viewers should know that and sometimes I'm sure they're all sitting at their dinner tables trying to copiously
Yes.
write down the numbers, that they have access to this information and they can get it online. And what they can do is they can send an email to us. I believe that our email addresses flash on the screen every so often. And what they can do is they can send an email address, their email addresses to us with a request. And what we'll be more than happy to do is send you a link to the U.S. Department of State website, which I can say it quickly is travel.state.gov. And then there's a little box that appears at the top for a search function, and you just type in August 2012 or next month, September 2012, and so on. And you can get the visa bulletin yourself, and that way you can look at the numbers and you can actually see and track them the same way that we do for you.
One important thing last, I think we have 1 minute left.
Sure.
One thing we always miss on telling, the AR11. If you move from your present address to a new address, and we are talking about even immigrants, right? You must file the form AR11 immediately online, because this will be a problem even in Dreamers when we talk about that.
That's right.
They say that you must have complied with that law. But not only for that purpose, for many other reasons. Very, very, very important that you must file a AR11 as soon as you
It
move.
became critical in 2001, and now they follow that very, very closely. We actually go an extra step, Michael. We do the AR11, and we call the 1-800 number and tell the officers that the address has changed, because there are two databases, so you want to get those changes into both.
David, thank you very much, and
Thank you,
thank all
Michael.
of you for watching the program. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please contact us, and we'll try our best to help you. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you.